We have had few dull moments here in Fiskerland, and today is no different. Let's talk about the recall first. Fisker Group Inc. is recalling all 2023 and 2024 Ocean vehicles. The exterior door handles can stick and fail to open. Oh my. Fisker will inspect and replace the door handles as necessary, free of charge. Owner notification letters are expected to be mailed August 30th, 2024. Owners may contact Fisker customer service at 844-347-5371. That's 844-FISKER1, and we know what we get when we call that number. Owners may also contact the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration Vehicle Safety Hotline, 888-327-4236. So, after you've called 844-FISKER1 and you've decided that, hey, I've waited long enough for someone to answer, and they haven't, and I have a Fisker with door handles, maybe it's time to call NHTSA and let them know that they don't answer the phone. Just a thought. And maybe you've got a service center in your area, like maybe you live in Indianapolis or somewhere out in California, but I've got news for you on that front. I have had an appointment set up for my Ocean to be serviced for a faulty seat sensor for July 2nd. I just received a call this morning from LA City Cars saying that they are sorry, but right now there is a glitch in their system and that they cannot go forward with the appointment at this time. The reason they are stating is there is a system glitch, and the emojis are there for good reason, because later the customer finds out LA City Cars will no longer service any Oceans that they do not sell themselves, despite the service techs that assist LA City Cars for the Oceans being Fisker employees and not LA City Cars employees. So that's why my appointment was canceled. At least we now know what's going on with the dealers. And that's the most important news I want to address, but there's so much more. Like, does Fisker actually have any assets? So if you're me and you're interested in understanding a planned for bankruptcy corporate house of cards supported by an unsecured loan that becomes secured by all your assets if you make a mistake, you've come to the right place. And maybe that's why all the accountants quit. Anyway, I'm just loony enough to dig deeper into the bankruptcy of Fisker Inc. And thanks to technology,
I just hit the
translate button, and all of a sudden, a cluster headache of questions about long-term survival becomes a
deep web of potential lies and excuses surrounded by a building with no one in it and a chrome Fisker out front.
That's right, nobody's in there. Aside from the fact that translation ignores verb tenses and sentence structure, this article is still hard to understand, but the only fact we need to look at from it is Fisker says they had 1.15 billion euros in assets, and the court is guessing it's more like 11 million euros. So that leads me to speculate, what assets are there? Fisker the cars, those are assets. They've got 4,300 cars. They had to tell us because they filed for bankruptcy. And if American Lease makes the buy, we have to think the cost is like a maximum of $15,000 per vehicle and probably closer to 10. But let's talk about 15.
I believe the entire implosion was a controlled situation, well planned and well executed, all under the fake veneer of the Fiskers simply being dumb and inept business people. Reality is they created an organized scheme with partners that netted quite a few people, quite a few millions apiece.
Bingo. So let's do the math. $15,000, 4,300 cars, okay, $64 million. Now the GmbH. Got to do some conversion. Let's call it 12 million in Austria. One quick second, I gotta Google something. Is overvaluing assets a crime? Let's save that for another video.
Maybe that's why all the accountants quit.
Now we've got to talk about Fisker IP, and there's a bankruptcy document that mentioned that as well. In addition to sales of its EVs, Fisker vehicle platforms were designed with engineering flexibility for high content carryover, which enabled the company to license its vehicle platforms. Fisker's technologies also provide for licensing opportunities, including with respect to the company's rotating center screen and invisible antenna designs, powertrain components, solar roof, and proprietary blade computer software. In number 26, it says Fisker undertakes significant testing and validation of its products to ensure that all products will meet the demands of its customers.
Last night I was listening to a programmer from Fisker talk about this very issue. He said that commands from the app are logged and held in the cloud and then delivered at some point in the future when they could connect to the car instead of being sent once immediately and canceled. He recommended that we do not use the app for locking, unlocking, tailgate opening, or California mode.
27 is telling intellectual property. Fisker's success depends in part on its ability to protect its core technology and intellectual property. As of the petition date, debtor Fisker Inc. owns 60 patents issued in the U.S. and 11 patents issued in non-U.S. jurisdictions. Finally, Fisker has 162 registered trademarks and 13 pending trademark applications. Fisker's patents and patent applications relate to, among other things, vehicle design, engineering, and battery technology. So how much is a platform even worth? Let's be super generous and say that the FM29 platform is worth
$100 million.
in liquidation, of course. And now it's time for debt math. The last thing I read about the notes was $180 million. Okay, I did the math on the Fisker Inc. bankruptcy. That's $900 million owed to the top 20 creditors. The Fisker Group Inc. filing lists $15 million in the top 20 creditors. Warranties are $5,000 a car times 6,000 cars. That's $30 million. And we'll ignore the Austria filing because there's a 30% offer on the table there, so that $1.34 billion I just won't even include. So it's $64 million for the cars and $100 million for the IP, up against $1.125 billion in liabilities. What's that work out to? My back of the napkin says 14 and change percent. So let's call it 15. But that's definitely not all there is to it. Next up is this 120-day period where the reorganization plan has to be submitted. That's identifying debts, identifying whether the claims are priority, secured, or general unsecured, and the number of claims, and then a determination of which debts will be paid in full and which debts will be repaid by percentage. So this 15% number I've come up with is just a guess as to where they stand before all this takes place. Once it's determined who gets a percentage offer and who gets a full repayment, the methods to how the debts will be repaid is also declared, and then the guidelines as to how the company will operate while the plan's in place to round out the listings on the reorganization plan. We'll dive deeper into that in an upcoming video. Finally, let's talk about the creditor matrix. I've seen some Fisker owners are not on the creditor matrix, and I don't know why that would be. If you need to get on the creditor matrix, the next step is a proof of claim. I don't know how that works, but I have put a link to this website in the description. If you have any feedback for me about that, please let me know down in the comments. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can check out my previous video. And also, there is a group that is working on some advocacy for owners. The Fisker Ocean Owners Association is accepting membership applications at this time. You can check it out at this website. That's all for this one. Join Patreon or become a YouTube member for early access to videos. Subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, smash the like button.
Thank you.